So some big NFL rule changes. One being the kickoff. They're doing a completely new kickoff this year, taken from the XFL, which is a good thing, and I think this is going to be a trend going forward. The XFL, now the UFL, is essentially the spring league for the NFL, basically a development league. And I know that may have seemed obvious before from a player perspective, but now it's also from like a rule perspective. I think the UFL is really going to be the training ground for all of these potential new rules. But ultimately, they're going to test it out in the UFL first, which I think is great. You know, it could add some viewership and interest in actually watching the UFL. And by the time it gets passed to the NFL, we'll have enough data and evidence that it actually works. And overall, it would be fun to see it at a higher level. Like, who knows? Like, just talking about this new kickoff rule, I'm not sure how many touchdowns were brought back in the XFL with this kickoff rule, but you know, the NFL is obviously where the best players play in the whole world. So it'll be interesting to see if a lot of touchdowns will be returned. And I just think this is just such a great move. I mean, the kickoff used to be the most exciting play in the NFL. Shout out Hall of Famer Devin Hester, Josh Cribbs. Two of the GOATs right there. I mean, just legendary stuff. And for the longest time, for the past like 5-6 years, I feel like the kickoff has just been dead. Like, I don't know how many touchdowns have been returned in the past 5 years, but it's got to be easily less than 10. At least that's what it feels like to me. So making this a relevant play in the NFL again is just huge. Just a huge, exciting thing. Next, the more controversial new rule is the NFL is dropping the hip drop tackle. I really don't know how to feel about this. Obviously, it's not a good thing that they're banning this. Just making it even harder for the defense, the defenders, and just them tackling in general. Just a little interesting note. There was a report that the owners felt uncomfortable about the average points per game being down. Over the last couple of years, it was over 48 points scored per game. But this past year, the over was 42 points per game on the average. So this past year, the average of points per game was down significantly from 48 to 42. And the owners just had their annual meeting. They are reportedly concerned about that. And I feel like this is a big reason why they're dropping the hip drop tackle. Because, you know, let's call it what it is. No one really cares about defense. They just want to see offense. Offense brings in the numbers. It brings in the stars. It brings in all the highlights, all those moments. Unfortunately, defense doesn't really get a lot of numbers up. No one really cares about that. Ray Lewis defenses and Legion of Boom and the 2015 Broncos. We may never see that again. And, you know, 13-10 games, 17-10 games, low-scoring games, defensive stalemates like the Rams and Patriots Super Bowl. Who knows? That might just be a fossil of the NFL going forward. As far as the actuality of banning hip drop tackles, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. I mean, I could just imagine like a third down in a playoff game or just a must-win game, you know, Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar is scrambling around and, you know, some poor defender is just trying to make a play, just trying to put food on his table, and 15-yard penalty, first down. It's it's just gross, but it is what it is. It's 2024. A lot of people on X are talking about it's essentially already flag football. We'll see. We'll see. I'm concerned. I'm definitely concerned. I feel like that may be true a lot sooner rather than later, unfortunately. It sucks, man, because the game has changed so much, and it's always changed. It always evolves. The NFL always evolves. But I just remember, like, the 2014, 2015, 2016 era, like, I don't want to say that was prime ball. I don't want to sound like an old head or a hater, whatever you want to call it, but man, back then you could still hit. Back then there was like a violence to the game, like really opposing your will on your opponent. And I know the NFL is still football. It's still a full contact sport in the trenches. I get that, but there was just another level of excitement and animalistic nature back then that just was unmatched. It was as close as we could get to like the gladiators in Rome, essentially. It was a special time, but that's how time goes, Time changes everything, and the NFL is a supreme business, and you gotta be willing to evolve, and they're evolving every year. They're changing the rules every year, and I'm still gonna tune in. A lot of America's gonna tune in. So I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll see. I don't really like this at all, but we'll see what happens. Another tweak is the NFL trade line will be moved back to week 9, so an extra week to get trades done. I think that's a good move. Trades are exciting. Trades are good. Trades are fun, so why not? It's a good little tweak right there. Another one is coaches get a third challenge no matter what. I think that's interesting. And the last one I want to mention is that there will be a replay review when there's a clear and obvious visual evidence that the game clock expired before any snap. No more of the confusion or miscommunication on trying to get one more play before the quarter ends or before the 2-minute warning. Those are the 3 most notable changes for the 2024 season. I like the kickoff one. I like the trade one. I don't like the hip drop one. But let me know what y'all think. Which ones do you like? What would you do? What would you change if you were the owner of the NFL? It's a really, really, really good question. I don't know. Roger Goodell is a good commissioner. I know he gets booed and blah, 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 blah. It's fun to boo him at the draft or whatever, but come on, man. He runs the most successful business in America, essentially. Like, come on, man. He's doing something right. You gotta give your flowers when it's due, man. He's earned his flowers, so. Anyways, let me know. That's all I got for right now. Peace.